Good afternoon. I am Andrea Chisholm with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. Not changing course. The parliamentary opposition is sticking to its decision not to extend the states of a public emergency across the island. At a press conference this morning, opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips reiterated that it's unconstitutional. He adds that there must be a clear threat to the state for a state of public emergency to be declared.
It may be arguable that such a threat existed at the beginning in St. James or any one of the areas, but it cannot be argued that that level of threat still remains in the areas. And there are those that say that the present construction of the Constitution says that the denial of rights, such as I described before, to the detainees in St. Catherine and St. James and elsewhere, really is not justifiable.
And the opposition leader also discussed the issue yesterday on RJR's Beyond the Headlines. Here's TVJ's Shane Masters with that story.
The People's National Party has outlined specific conditions which must be met and maintained before it re-engages its support for further extension. Opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips is insisting that even if the states of emergency end, there are existing laws which enable the security forces to continue their operations. He argues that after 1 year, the government must change its strategy. Yesterday, he named the conditions for re-engagement while speaking on Beyond the Headlines.
There are circumstances, if one can demonstrate, as the Constitution requires, that there is a substantial threat to the survival of the state or the community or part of it, that would warrant such a declaration in that area or other areas, then yes, I mean, we're not saying that we would never consider a state of emergency ever again.
Dr. Phillips also responded to concerns being raised that the PNP took a political decision to vote against the security measures and betrayed the people.
I think that they are really operating on the basis of a misunderstanding. And if their view is that there is nothing that can be done without a state of emergency to uphold the law and deliver peace, then it would be a mistaken view. The view that only a state of emergency counts has been fostered by some, including the government, and that it is really a false dilemma.
On Tuesday, the opposition voted against extending the security measure in St. James, St. Catherine North, and sections of the corporate area. Shane Masters, TVJ News.
PNP councillors in the St. James Municipal Corporation are supporting the decision by the parliamentary opposition not to extend the state of a public emergency in the parish. In a statement yesterday, the councillors said they welcomed the overall reduction in crime but raised concerns about the detention of over 3,600 people up to October. 139 persons were charged, 40 with minor offences, including noise nuisance and exposing goods in vending areas. The councillors are urging the government to keep the security forces in St. James. In other news, the Jamaica Association of Composers, Authors and Publishers, JCAP, is threatening to take legal action against organizations that continue to withhold outstanding royalty payments. At a press briefing yesterday, JCAP warned it will be clamping down on non-compliant organizations. TVJ's Herman Green reports.
Pay up or be sanctioned. A warning from the Jamaica Association of Composers, Authors and Publishers, JCAP, to organizations and event promoters who continue to infringe on copyright laws. At a press briefing recently, JCAP singled out a list of repeat offenders.
Now, JCAP, by some 28 agreements, are mandated to collect royalties from anybody who uses the creativity of individuals, authors, composers, and publishers. As a result of this mandate from the various agreements, several claims have been brought against several individuals, including Flow and Digicel, who are constant infringers of copyright.
If we're comparing like entities such as the other media houses, so not cable now, we're talking like the RGR Group, CVM, media houses that actually use our music. We always say, and we must say, that RGR Group is one of our most compliant users. In terms of CVM is one of our biggest infringer, right? And we currently have CVM in court.
JCAP General Manager Lydia Rose is hoping that legal action will serve as a deterrent to future culprits. She expressed that the association will continue to hold organizations withholding outstanding royalty payments accountable.
Our mandate is to ensure that they are given protection under the Copyright Act. In fact, the Copyright Act of 1993 assures all copyright music users that they should be protected. Their right is deemed a property, and JCAP mandate is to ensure that that property is protected.
Herman Green, TVJ News.
A warning this afternoon from Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clarke that the National Insurance Scheme is at risk of going under. He made the disclosure in Parliament on Tuesday while announcing plans to help save the scheme.
More than 366,000 persons contribute to the National Insurance Scheme, NIS, which in turn uses those funds to distribute pensions and other benefits like medical and dental. But on Tuesday, Dr. Nigel Clarke had some bad news about the NIS. He told Parliament that for the last 10 years, the scheme has been operating in the red. At last check, in 2016, the NIS paid out $14.78 billion to beneficiaries, but only collected $12.8 billion. And if this continues, pensioners and beneficiaries would eventually suffer.
It would run out completely by 2037, which is 19 years from today. Okay? Completely, if we do nothing, it would go to zero.
So to help ensure the sustainability of the scheme, the following measures will be implemented.
The increase of the NIS contribution rate from 5% to 5.5% effective April 1, 2019, which the employer and employee will share, i.e. equally, increasing the contribution rate further from 5.5% to 6% effective April 1, 2020, which the employer and employee will share equally, i.e. 1/4% for the employer, 1/4% for the employee.
Dr. Clarke explained the considerations that have been given to employers amidst the impending changes.
The Cabinet has approved the increase in the NIS insurable wage ceiling, which has not been increased since 2013, for the purposes of the NIS, of the calculation of NIS contribution amounts from $1.5 million to $3 million in January 2021. So we're giving 2 years notice so that businesses can plan. And further, Mr. Speaker, to increase the NIS insurable wage ceiling for the purposes of calculating the NIS contribution amounts, yes, in 2 successive years, from $3 million to $5 million in 2022.
Herman Green, TVJ News.
The legal battle continues between telecommunications company Symbiote Investments, which trades as Carousel, and the government. TVJ's Ashane Masters has details.
Lawyers for Symbiote filed an application before the appeal court yesterday, challenging a decision by the Supreme Court in May to deny the company leave to seek judicial review of the decision by the government to revoke its license. The appeal was filed by attorney-at-law Patrick Bailey.
We have now filed an application in the Court of Appeal for leave to have the matter put before the full court. And we are complaining essentially about the minister's action in that it was, in our view, disproportionate and irrational and draconian also, because even based on this allegation of one of the principals having what they call an adversary, a sort of nebulous and undefined allegation, we thought that it was disproportionate to cancel a license or revoke a license based on that, and therefore we're asking for the Court of Appeal to have the
On April 10, the government notified Symbiote that its licenses had been revoked. Symbiote later wrote to then Technology Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley, urging him to reconsider the decision. Our news center was subsequently told that Symbiote was given a chance to convince the government not to revoke its licenses. Under the law, the company had 14 days from the date of notification during which to appeal the decision and provide evidence showing why the licenses should not be revoked. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
The number of suspected dengue cases have increased. The Health Ministry says up to December 12, 571 persons were treated for dengue-related symptoms. That's up from the 412 cases reported last month.
Dengue hemorrhagic, which is a rare complication of dengue, we have noted this year to have 70 suspected cases compared to 38 last year.
Despite the increased number of cases, the Health Ministry maintains there's no outbreak.
It's not a crisis, but it's also a reason to be concerned as citizens to take whatever precaution is necessary. And the first line of defense, frankly speaking, is to control or attempt to control your own environment.
There was celebration at Mount Airy All Age in Westmoreland Wednesday following their victory in TVJ's Junior Schools Challenge Quiz competition. The school defeated Broughton Primary 33-26 in a heated match.
This has been my third finals in 4 years, and to finally get a hold of the trophy is a wonderful feeling.
I am so happy. I am so happy today to be a part of this. Something that I have longed for, something that I have prayed for, and it really works.
To God be the glory, great things He has done.
And in sports, the more than 40 sporting associations of the Jamaica Olympic Association have received the new Articles of Incorporation, which will be put to a vote at an extraordinary general meeting on Thursday, December 20. TVJ's Keon Raynor reports.
Impeccable TVJ Sports sources revealed that the proposed new Articles of Incorporation, which is 20 pages long, was sent to the respective sporting associations Tuesday afternoon. This came hours after a story carried by RGR Sports yesterday morning. The current Articles of Association, which was drafted in 1993, is a 12-page document with 52 sections. The new document contains an additional 32 sections, including a portion that deals with the composition of the Board of Directors, which now calls for the addition of an athlete representative. Another section speaks to the position of Secretary General now being appointed instead of being voted in, with the Chief Executive Officer CEO to hold that position as a non-voting ex officio member. The JOA had sent a 4-page notice of the meeting to members on December 5. The notice did not provide any details as to the proposed changes to the Articles of Incorporation. The notice called for members to vote to adopt and approve the Articles of Incorporation proposed by the Board of Directors of the JOA with immediate effect. Now, further efforts by TVJ Sports to get a comment from President of the JOA, Christopher Samuda, on the proposed changes were unsuccessful on Wednesday, as his cell phones again went to voicemail. A 75% majority of the JOA members at the EGM is required to effect the changes to the Articles of Incorporation. Reporting for TVJ Sports, I'm Keon Raynor.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Do remember to join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.